Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
Guys, Professor Presbury back in another episode of Hey Professor, the show we talk about everything you wanted to know about business management, regulatory cycle management, and healthcare management. I am your Professor Javon H. Presbury. Welcome back. In line with the season and or the holidays, I'm going to do 3 spooky and or scary stories from management, general management, not anything specific. Just so we're clear, these are stories that really happened to me, like actual true life stories and things I've dealt with in the management field that I found to be scary as hell, scary as shit, weird, and just unusual to deal with, really. Of course, because I've worked a lot of different places, I have to modify as to not include names of individuals or organizations I was working with, because you just don't do that kind of stuff. But that said, I hope you enjoy. So, the first one, the contagion. This was when COVID-19 first hit. Now, a lot of people were scared because just like any new or emerging disease, nobody really knows anything about it. Nobody really knows what it is. No one knows where it's from, what it can do, what the criteria is, how it's spread. You got to understand that at that time, a lot of people believed it could be spread like just even through like material, through paper. Now, I work in management, and at the organization I was working at, there was a lot of paper. So, I mean, we had people that were just like not wanting to touch paper or anything like that, right? You had a lot of people that were quitting. You had a lot of mass quitting, especially from the clinical side. A lot of nurses that were just leaving their positions, a lot of doctors leaving their positions. So it was just mass chaos at the time, right? People just had no idea what was happening. I had a couple colleagues. When I say colleagues, I don't mean staff, but actual like mentors and people that were under me that actually passed away because of COVID-19. It was a very scary time, right? So I'm sitting there, and again, I was the manager at the time, and you know, it was really a point for me. It's like, are you going to quit or are you going to buckle down and stay? Honestly, you don't know anything about it. I mean, we know things about COVID-19 now, right? But you got to understand, at that point in time, and I worked in New York City. I mean, it was like the hot spot for that stuff, right? So working in New York City was the hot spot for it. And it was like, are you going to leave? Are you going to stay? What are you going to do? And the thing is, at the level of management I was at, I was very what I call frontline. I was not clinical. I wasn't dealing with patients, but I dealt with a lot of people. I think I was at that sweet spot of management where, as a literal manager, right? I wasn't a director, I wasn't a VP, I wasn't anything like that. People got to understand, the further away that you get as far as levels, you're not interacting with people that often, right? So your VPs, they're not interacting with a lot of people. They're not interacting with a lot of staff. They're not interacting with a lot of managers, a lot of directors. They might have a team of 2 or 3 people that are under them, right? They have their team. I had a staff of like 30 something. So any of these people could have potentially this disease in New York City that could kill you. It was a very scary time for me. It's a very scary time for a lot of other managers, because you're sitting here thinking that you're this young guy or you're this young woman and everything's okay. And then you have a colleague that just drops dead, right? And again, you can't really get into details, but you have colleagues that drop dead, you have staff that drop dead, and you know, RIP, right? But you're in that position. It's very frightening, because you have to understand also on the flip side of that, right? It's easy to be management when things are going well, when everything's on the up and up. It's hard to be management when things are going bad. When things are kind of against the wall and they really need you and things are just kind of chaotic, that's when it's hardest to be management. And that was the position I'm in. So you cut and run, when the reality is, a lot of people and a lot of nurses felt this way too. It's your life on the line. Literally, people were dying all around you. You were working in the hot spot as far as the pandemic goes. Nobody knows what's causing it. Nobody knows how it's transmitted. You're sitting there, right? Like, what do? Do you keep working? Do you cut and run? Understanding, of course, that cutting and running could ruin your career, because it's going to look like when things get tough that you're just not there. Very scary time. Long story short, what ended up happening, I stayed. I toughed it through. I got COVID a couple times, but I didn't die. I was fortunate because I knew people that did, colleagues, staff, etc. When I cannot understate, it was a very scary time. We're going to move on to the next one now. This short story is called Blood from the Sky. So again, as a manager at an organization, I won't say where, I had my staff in the larger office. We had little smaller breakout offices. I had to assign the staff to work in different areas, and people would often work in this one conference room to kind of make sure that, they could kind of sequester themselves and get away and really work in an area where there wasn't any issue, right? So over time, you started smelling this really foul, really putrescent smell, and it just got worse and worse over a couple of weeks. We called maintenance, we called, EVS, we called everybody to try to figure out what it was, try to get it cleaned up, try to get it straightened out. Nobody could figure it out, right? We're talking about cross weeks. It was making people sick. Some of the staff are saying that they're not going to work in an area. I'm not going there. I don't want to get sick. I don't know what that smell is. And I understood. It smelled gross. But to me, it also had like a sweet, like a weird, irony smell. It smells like iron. I don't know what that is, But it was gross, right? It was just disgusting. Fast forward, right? So fast forward a couple weeks, my staff is working in the office in that area, even though it smells. Some of them are toughing it through, and I'm really grateful to them for that, right? Next thing you know, I'm getting, calls to my office. Hey, I need you to come over here. Sure. I run over. What's going on? There is a red liquid coming from the ceiling and from the walls. And it was kind of like, what the hell? What is this stuff coming down from the wall? I didn't touch it. Nobody asked, hey, you know what? Everybody leave the area, mask up, glove up, do not touch it. We don't know what this is. We don't want you guys near any of this stuff, whatever. Just stay away from it, right? It's dripping down the walls. It's talking about, imagine this is it, right? Imagine this is the wall, and you're looking up, and there's this red, like pinkish red liquid coming down the wall, coming down here, and kind of dripping from the mid ceiling on the paperwork. It was crazy. It was chaotic, and I had to get them out of there. I said, hey, sequester yourselves. Don't go over there. Just go and work on something else. We'll figure it out, right? I called EVS. I called the powers that be. A lot of people didn't respond. Nobody was really responding to me. I sent pictures, and that's how they got the response. I sent pictures. I really, put it in place that they could kind of move their ass and get things in gear. I need you guys over here. I got something happening. I don't know what it is. My staff is concerned. I'm concerned. I'm getting them out of the area. Come to find out, right? It was blood. It was honest to God blood, right? And I was like, how could that be? Why would there, in what situation would it make sense that there was blood in the ceiling, blood coming down from the walls, it's like Ghostbusters or something, some kind of spooky nonsense? What is this? Turns out, right above us was a dialysis unit, and for whatever reason, I guess the tubing wasn't correct, and the blood was coming down from the walls. So that's what that was. It was actually literally blood. It's a good thing I got my staff out of the area because, you don't want to work like that. I don't want to work in that. Blood from the ceilings, blood on the walls, blood dripping on your paper. So you're talking about, right, people here for dialysis. People who are clinicians will know, right? And people who work in dialysis will also know. Anytime you work with any kind of possibility of blood, any kind of possibility of someone being exposed to that kind of thing, we're talking about bloodborne pathogens, right? We don't know if somebody has AIDS. We don't know if they have HIV. We don't know if they have any other kind of communicable disease by blood. Yeah, coming from the walls. Crazy, right? Hey guys, Professor Presbury, just gonna keep this short. Realizing how long this video is, I'm actually gonna cut it up into 2 parts. So I hope you enjoy them both. Don't want it to be too long, want it to be enjoyable. Have a good one. Bye.
Intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character. That is the true goal of education.